Welcome to the Enchanted Ears podcast.
Where we discuss anything and everything Disney.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Joe, and on today's episode, we are recapping the VIP tour we took when we were at Walt Disney World last month.
Yeah, we bougie now.
Yeah, we were able to kind of tack on with the other group of people.
Yes.
Our friends were doing it, and they kind of asked if we wanted to join. So it wasn't like we had a VIP tour for two or anything like that.
It was still expensive,
not that
but
bougie,
it wasn't as bad as it would have been if it was just us. I mean,
right.
It was split.
So we were like, heck yeah, like this is a great opportunity. Want to do a VIP tour. So
when else are we going to do one?
yeah. So we'll get into that. It was a lot of fun. Get into that kind of like lessons learned too. Some of the stuff of like, hey, if we ever do another one of these, some things we'd maybe do differently, things we like, things we maybe didn't like. So, but before we get into that, I want to cover the Disney news of the week. So down at Walt Disney World, they announced that the last two attractions on virtual queue, which are Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind and Tiana's Bayou Adventure, will be going off of virtual queue February 25th. So after that, there will be no attractions on a virtual queue down at Walt Disney World. So I guess it's time to buy those lightning lanes. I mean, this seems like a way, hey, don't get a free guarantee to ride the ride. Either you wait in line for, who knows how long it's going to be, or you got to buy the lightning lanes.
I'm a little disappointed that they're getting rid of that virtual queue option to, get in the morning and then wait in a shorter line. And I think that you're exactly right that this is a kind of a money grab that, you don't want to wait in a 2.5 hour. Like, you want to roll the dice a little bit. Well, you can wait in a long line. Otherwise, just purchase a lightning lane.
Yeah, it's either that or they don't think the line's going to be that long. I mean, I kind of feel like Tiana's, the lightning lanes, or not the lightning lanes, the virtual queues stay open for a long time. So I don't know if there's maybe a ton of demand there. So
I think it'll go up, though, as it starts to get warmer.
Well, and if you can actually get in line. I mean, it will be interesting to see, like, what is the wait time for the standby queue for these, because again, maybe that demand has kind of waned, but it does kind of seem like, again, with like Tiana, for instance, if the virtual queue's not filling up, let's just get rid of it. And then if there's a 2-hour line, people are more likely to buy lightning lanes versus why do you need a lightning lane if I can just get in a virtual queue at any point of the day. So it'll be interesting to see this week, like once they go off virtual queue, what those lines look like, and if any new attractions go on virtual queue, or if like this is done, because there's not going to be any attractions anymore. So we'll see as new stuff opens. And then at the old NBA experience, which was previously Disney Quest, we got an announcement that level 99 is going to be going in that building, which they have a couple locations, I think up in the Northeast. It might be like Maine or Vermont, somewhere like that. But it is kind of like Disney Quest. It's like, it sounds like it's like part like escape room, puzzles. You can like duel with your friends with like, physical challenges and stuff. There's also going to be like a bar and restaurant area. So it's kind of like a Discovery Quest, maybe a little bit more for adults, but there are, like puzzle rooms, and they're only a few minutes. So it's not like these like hour-long escape rooms. It seems like more rapid fire. And, looking at the pricing at their existing locations, it seems like you pay for like a number of hours. They have like a 2-hour or a 4-hour or an all day.
It's like trampoline park pricing.
Yeah, kind of. And it's just like you can get through as much as you can get through. But it's interesting that it's like it's going back to kind of what it was. So it does make you wonder, like, why did they get rid of Disney Quest? Because the NBA experience didn't do well. But I think this will do better. I mean, they have at least a proven model, and it seems like they have enough stuff to do, whereas I feel like the NBA experience, there wasn't a lot to do, and it was a very like specific market. Like if you didn't care for the NBA, you were never going to go in there.
Yeah, this sounds really cool. This sounds like something that I would want to, get some of our Disney friends together and go down and check it out and compete against them or play with them. Like, I don't really know a whole lot about it, but it sounds fun. Like, I'm definitely a person who's up for a good game. And so I think this will be a really cool addition. I'm excited.
And it's going to be their biggest location. So it's going to be bigger than their existing location. So they'll have like more games and challenges and things like that. I'll be interesting to see what the pricing is, because I think it's like $25 for 2 hours and maybe like $50 for the whole day at their current locations, which I have to imagine it's going to be more expensive than that in Disney, but like how much more expensive, how much time do you get there? Because if you're charging, say, $50 for 2 hours, like how many people are really going to do it at that price? Like I think it is going to depend on the pricing. I think a lot of people at least do it once, but do people keep coming back, or do you price it so expensive that people don't come back? So it'll be interesting to see once this opens.
Yeah.
And then some more news on the Disney Adventure, which this is the Disney cruise line that's going to be going out of Singapore. They're going to be having a Captain Jack Sparrow show. So it's Captain Jack Sparrow and the Siren Queen. So that's going to be one of the shows. Also got some concept art of the Duffy and Friends show. So this is kind of the first time Duffy and Friends are going to be on the cruise line. But this ship is much bigger than any other ship Disney has because they purchased it out of bankruptcy from somebody else. So there's a lot more stages and just places outdoors for these like little shows. So they have a ton of shows going on. But this is really shaping up, I think, to be like a pretty impressive cruise ship.
This cruise ship seems like an absolute bucket list item. And also I have to point out how incredible it is that they are having Captain Jack Sparrow sailing out of Singapore. Because if you think back to the movies, he mentions, I think that's where he got his tattoo, if I remember correctly.
Maybe.
They mentioned Singapore a lot. It's been a while since I've seen the movies, but I'm
not that deep in the Captain Jack lore.
I'm 99% sure.
We'll say sure.
He's at least been to Singapore.
Yeah, I have to imagine if he hasn't been, he has been now. That'll be happening. Yeah, I mean this cruise ship though, I think is getting a lot of people excited.
Oh,
like I think if you are a fan of Disney Cruise Line, if you're a fan of Disney Cruises, again, this is on a scale unlike anything they've ever done, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of people wanting to go to this. Like there's obviously going to be, once this thing kicks off, a lot of like influencers and stuff on this are going to be building a lot of social media hype, but I feel like even before that, like I feel like it's not going to need that much just because there is so much going on and it's so grand that you're going to get a lot of people interested in it just from that alone. All right, well, that wraps up the news for this week. So let's get into our main topic here, VIP tours. So like we mentioned at the top of the show, when we were down there for Marathon Weekend, our friends were doing a VIP tour, and they said, hey, do you want to join our tour? And we were like, 100%. Like, we want to join this. We want to experience, see what this is all about. So for people who are maybe not familiar with VIP tours, at the park. So they have them at Disneyland. We did this one at Walt Disney World. It is a minimum of 7 hours. You can do up to 10 hours. And the hourly rate ranges, depending on how busy it is, between $450 and $900 an hour. So, at a minimum of 7 hours, you're looking at somewhere between $3,000 and say $6,000. You can have up to 10 people on the tour. And then everybody still needs tickets. So that's the thing. Like you're paying, maybe $6,000 at the high end, but you still have to buy tickets in order to be on this tour.
Yeah, it is a bit mind blowing when you think about that. It's kind of like when people ask me, when you do Run Disney, do you get like park admission in addition to that? And I'm like, yeah, no, we don't do that. And the races are pretty expensive.
Should. If you do Dopey.
Yeah,
I feel like the least they could do
they could give you a one-day park ticket
day
on the day of the marathon because you're already losing some time in the parks.
Or Metal Monday. Be like, hey, if you're doing
Metal Monday
Dopey, give you a ticket to Metal Monday so you can go get your pictures.
Yeah.
Like that one you should be able to get something.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, you don't with Run Disney and you don't with the VIP tours either. So in total, we had 6 people in our group. So it worked out to be, it was like around $900 a person. So we were kind of in towards the upper end of the hourly rate, but not at that, $900 an hour. And we just did the 7-hour tour. So we didn't do the 10 hours. 7 hours is the minimum. And that's what we did. So early January, Marathon Weekend, the price for that was around like $5,500 just for people who are kind of interested of like, hey, what is that, that price range? So what's interesting is because, I started by saying like, if you're not familiar with the VIP tour, because I feel like maybe not a lot of people know about this because it's not necessarily something that like Disney really actively promotes. I think people have seen like plaids walking around, and everybody likes to play the game like celebrity or rich. Like, who are these people walking around with the plaids? But a lot of the plaids do just like the regular tours too. Like, they do the Keys to the Kingdom tour. So it's not necessarily if you see a plaid with a group of people that they're on a VIP tour.
Yeah, I think I would like to add a third category to that. It's celebrity, rich, or fiscally irresponsible.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you could be fiscally irresponsible, but with this, so I think a lot of people maybe don't know about these tours. But what's interesting, our tour guide, he told us, because I asked him, I was like, how are you doing? Like, do you have a tour every day? How many tour guides are there? And he was saying they have, I want to say, like 80 to 90 full-time tour guides. And then they have like 30 or so temporary tour guides that come in like during the holidays, during the very busy seasons. As needed, whenever it gets crowded. But he said they sell out. Like, every tour guide is busy every day of the week. So basically they have 80 to 90 of these VIP tours happening every single day at, $5,000 a pop. On, holidays, there's over 100 of these happening. So like, they're selling these out. Like, they're very popular. And yet again, it's like, I feel like a lot of people, it's very easy to know they don't exist because it's not like this is something that's actively promoted. But yet it is super popular.
Yeah, it was mind-blowing to me when you asked this question. I was having a hard time like kind of hearing him because he was a little on the quiet side, but you ask a lot of really great questions, and this one really shocked me because it's like, I don't know, like, you don't see the plaids all over the place. Like, I don't notice them, but I don't look for them either. But it is interesting. Also, like, it's not like they take you down to the utilidors and they're hidden from view, and they only pop up at the rides. So it's just really interesting for me to think that there's that many of them. And even whenever we were like moving around, particularly like transporting, it never felt like there were a lot of vehicles or anything that other people like were crossing paths with them or anything. I don't know, but I guess there is a lot going on.
Yeah, I mean, the other part of it is, and I wonder how much of the VIP tours that they fill up every day are like paid tours, because if you're a Club 33 member,
yeah,
I think you get 5 VIP tours a year that you can use. So I'm not sure how many people are Club 33 members down at Walt Disney World, but you have to figure there's a certain number of that group out there. If you get 5 a year, that is going to take up some volume as well. So they're not necessarily paying an additional fee for that. They're paying tens of thousands of dollars to be Club 33 members and kind of get this as a benefit. So, I do wonder of like how many of the people taking the tours every day are, Club 33 members versus, just kind of like regular guests paying for this experience. So one of the benefits of the VIP tour, and because we have, if you've noticed, if you're watching this on YouTube, we have our little VIP tour Spirit jerseys, is that you can buy special VIP tour merch only when you're on the tour.
So it is like if you have ever, known anybody who's been to Club 33, they have very special limited like Club 33 merch. Well, they also have the same thing with VIP tours. So it was really interesting because we're in the van and I don't even know, we were talking about merch or something. He's like, oh yeah, there's special.
He's like, have you ever seen the VIP tour merch yet? Yeah.
And I thought he was almost like thought he was joking, but there are a number of things, and we fell hook, line, and sinker for a lot of it.
Yeah, so they have Spirit jerseys, which we got, and it's really nice. Like on the back,
yeah, maybe I'll turn around.
On the back, it has Walt Disney World, but it's like fuzzy, like the fabric of it kind of sticks out.
Well, the way he put it, and I thought this was a good way of describing it, is like Letterman jackets, how they're like that ruggish type, terry almost material. That's exactly the texture on the back.
Yeah, so they have those. They have a hat, lounge fly. They have a special VIP lounge fly. They have ornaments, ears. They also have pins. I have our pins here. So they have these VIP tour pins that are all of the parks, and then there's like a little clip that says VIP tour. And there's like little like crystals in them. I will say the pins were like the most expensive thing, and I didn't realize that until after we bought them. But I want to say the pins were like $150.
Were they really?
Yeah, which is crazy. Like they were more expensive than the Loungefly and the spirit jerseys and everything.
That you like made a comment like, "Oh, are those real rubies?" And I laughed at you.
Not
but
real
you know
rubies,
what?
but they're obviously something for as expensive as they are. But the pins say like
Yeah.
VIP tour on them.
Yeah, they do. I fell for them because there was one with Simba. There was a cute one with Figment. And,
Yeah, because it's every park. Because it's Mickey's Magic Kingdom.
And then there's
Simba's Animal Kingdom.
Fantasia Mickey, and I forget who the last one is.
Fantasia Mickey's Hollywood Studios. Tinkerbell is Magic Kingdom.
That's the okay.
Yeah, so they have all the parks there. But yeah, so we were like, wait, when are we ever going to be here again?
Ever doing this?
Let's
again?
buy all the merch. The spirit jerseys, they were a little bit more expensive than
I feel
a
like they were
regular spirit jersey.
$110 or something. That
but they
number
weren't
sticks
too
out.
bad. They didn't have any lounge flies.
Yeah, they were out. Our friend wanted
yeah,
that.
she wanted a lounge fly.
Did she end up getting the ears?
I don't.
The ears
I don't
were
remember.
so nice. If I was a big ear wearer, I mean, I have several pairs of ears, but after a while, they like give me a headache a lot of times. So I didn't purchase them because I figured they'd be expensive. But I think she might have gotten the ears. They were so nice.
The hat wasn't that great. I wasn't impressed with the hat. Like it wasn't a super high quality. It was, again, that was kind of like normal price, like a hat, but it wasn't super high quality. But yeah, so that is one of the benefits. And again, you can only buy the merch while you're on the tour. So you have to spend part of your tour time shopping. And it's only at the Magic Kingdom. So you have to go to the Magic Kingdom. You have to be on the tour. The big benefits of being on a VIP tour is access. Is basically kind of what you're paying for. Mm-hmm. It is easier to move between parks because you take advantage of backstage cast access and transportation between the parks. So you're not taking the Disney buses. So it's easier to move between the parks. And then also getting on the rides quicker.
The part about going on one of these tours that I found fascinating was just the amount of time we were able, I feel like, to shave off by, again, using those backstage access points so that we can go from A to B a little bit quicker. And then once we got there, again, like you were starting to say, we didn't get to jump to the front of the line. We went into the lightning lanes. So basically we had unlimited lightning lanes that day.
And from reading up on the VIP tours, this seems like it's a little bit of a change from, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And I do kind of remember seeing more like, again, a while ago where you would see Plaids leading people to the ride.
Yeah.
And basically like walking right up and getting them on the ride. Mm-hmm. And I think they used to do that more, but now that they have the lightning lanes, and they always had fast pass, but like I think now that it's everything's more lightning lane and they're kind of pushing everything that way, that they basically just utilize that. So they basically just drop you into the lightning lane, and it moves quick because they let so many people through the lightning lane. So it's not like you're going to walk up to every attraction. I think a lot of people maybe think that, but you get to go on the lightning lanes. The nice thing is when you transport, again, you're kind of going backstage. They have a car. It's a Chevy. It's kind of like the minivan. It's not branded like a minivan, but it's like that. It's like a Chevy Tahoe or something. Or if you have a big group, they have like a Sprinter van. But they basically just drive you from park to park. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the transportation you have. It's also nice. They have snacks there.
Yeah. So that was the part. Yeah. So that was the one thing that I thought was really interesting because I had heard that you get snacks included. I think everybody's a little bit different. Like depending on what cast member you get, it seems like they maybe do different things.
You're talking like in-park snacks.
Yeah, because, okay, so for example, we needed a snack when we were in Animal Kingdom. So we stopped, we got a snack then. That was on our dime. But then we got into the vehicle, and when we switched parks, right behind the scenes as we were walking into the next park, there was a basket of like Cheez-Its and
it's like chips, pretzels. Yeah. They have
I think like Nutri-Grain bars.
Yeah, some sort of bar, water, that sort of thing.
Or I think they were Nature Valley bars. Yeah. But yeah, so there were different things that you could pick up, like little snacky things, nothing like really fancy. He did get us a Coca-Cola at one point
at the end of the night. Yeah,
like drinks, when we were getting the merch, and that was the one snack that was like actually in park that we got comped to us. And I feel like I've read other places that they will get you different things like churros or something. So I think it maybe depends on who you get. And I actually, like, when I read up on it online, it seemed like people were saying that your experience varies varies widely based on who is leading your tour.
Yeah, and I think you probably get like something. And again, like we just happen to get like drinks, but you're right, churros. Like they imagine that they have like, hey, give them some piece of magic, in this. And it's kind of like up to their discretion of like, what does the group want? But if you do want to have like any sort of food, you have to pay for it yourself. So like if you want to go to a restaurant, quick serve, sit down, you have to pay for it. Now I don't recommend doing a sit down restaurant because that's part of your time and you're kind of wasting your time sitting down and eating at a restaurant. But you do have to kind of pay for all that additional stuff. Now, our tour, we started it at 12:30 and we started at Animal Kingdom. Our plan was to go to all 4 parks throughout the day and finish at Magic Kingdom because we planned to finish at 7:30 because Happily Ever After was at 8 o'clock. And so one thing to know and kind of a tip if you do ever go on a VIP tour is they have VIP tour kind of like reserved seating for the fireworks show at Happily Ever After, and you have to be in a half an hour before the show starts.
And these are in those little garden areas that are kind of fenced off. So it's really nice because where the rest of Main Street is kind of packed and people are like really in there like sardines, we had plenty of space to move around. If we wanted to move our position, we
there
could.
Was nobody in there. There was like
were probably
20 other people in there.
15 other people, 20 other people in there. There's actually a proposal that happened in there right before, which was really cute. But yeah, it was that I think to me was the highest value thing that we got because, I think for you maybe not so much, but for me, when we go and watch the castle shows,
this is never
very highly.
I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, it's not so for me. But now I know where you're going because this has never been a problem of mine.
So yeah, like when you are a person that is not really tall,
you're
6'3".
vertically challenged.
I'm not. I'm 5'5". Okay, but again, for like, there's a lot of men that are a lot taller than me, and then again, if you add to that mix maybe somebody who puts their child on top of them, now they're 7 feet tall. Yeah. So it gets a little hard at times to find a space where you are going to be able to see, or you might even get in there and think you're going to be able to see and somebody else shuffles in. So it was so nice because we had this spot that was reserved for us.
Nobody was in front of you.
Like nobody was in front of us. I could see super clearly. If I was uncomfortable, I could shift without worrying about being stepped on or anything like that. So it was that was my favorite part because it was like I could dance while the fireworks show was going on.
I was just going to say that. There was so much room. We could have done like a do-si-do or a line dance. Like we could have. I was just going to say that. You had enough room to really just explore the space because... And it was nice.
Explore the space. What's that from? I feel like that's
more cowbell from SNL. Explore the studio. I really want you to explore the studio space. You totally could have done it. But I was thinking that like we could have danced in it because you have that whole group that area. One of those grass areas is reserved for the VIP. So it's only people on VIP tours that happen to come in to the Magic Kingdom to watch the fireworks show. So I think it seemed like there was maybe like 2 other tours that were in there with us. Like I said, maybe 20 people, maybe it was 3 tours max, but like we were able to sit because we mobile ordered and like
I think
sat
there were 3 plaids in there.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there was like a female and another male besides ours.
Yeah, it felt like 3 groups, but like we mobile ordered and got food kind of like right before and walked in because we figured, we're going to be a half an hour early, let's eat. But like there was nobody that were able to sit down on the ground. Didn't have to worry about, like, to your point, anybody stepping on you, anything like that. And then the show started and we just stood up. There was nobody there. It was perfect.
Oh, another great part. We had our merch with us. We had a lot of stuff with us. We just left it on the ground. We didn't have to stay there and hold it or anything like that. It was just like my purse was on the ground. There was nobody else in there. I didn't have to worry about, losing it or somebody swiping it. Like it was just, there was 20 people in there. Who's going to take it?
It was perfect. And leaving too was really easy because it's like, it's kind of towards the back, like towards Main Street. and you can kind of just kind of cut out, and then they had you basically going on like the side routes down Main Street, so like you were actually off of Main Street because they were funneling people that way, but you kind of exit right there, so it made it for like a really quick way.
We got out a lot faster than I thought we would.
But again, what's nice is you kind of get an extra, quote unquote half hour of a VIP tour because you finish your tour right at 7:30 when you're in there, and then once you're in, and then you can have that viewing for the show, so you don't have to waste your VIP tour time as part of the fireworks show.
Right. And the trick about doing that though is you do whenever you get like right as soon as you get up to your VIP tour, you do want to ask about it because there is limited viewing there. So if there are a ton of VIP tours that day, it could potentially fill up. So
yeah, we would have been fine.
We would have been fine, but we did. I mean, I think we were there for probably like 10, 15, 20 minutes before we asked. We were still in Animal Kingdom when we asked about the VIP.
Oh yeah, we asked like first thing, whenever we got on the tour, but we would have been fine even kind of at the end. Now, since we didn't book this, we didn't have kind of the full experience of before, but basically how this works is once you book this, you send Disney, there's a special like VIP tour phone line and email. So if you need to change your time, like it's kind of tentative. You're kind of like, hey, I'm doing it this day. I want to start at this time. Like we originally were going to start earlier. And then when we found out, hey, you can do kind of preferred viewing for Happily Ever After, we said, hey, let's shift this back so that we can finish and watch the fireworks. So you can make those kind of changes leading up to the tour. But the other thing you do is kind of give them a list of like, hey, here's kind of the itinerary we want to do. These are the parks we want to go to. These are the attractions we want to experience. So we wanted to go to all 4 parks. We kind of had some key attractions, and you send that ahead of time. Now, I don't think there was a lot of communication back and forth beforehand. Like our friend Jennifer was the one kind of booking it. And I think she said, they didn't really respond too much. They kind of said, hey, we'll pass that along. But our tour guide did have that list. I mean, when we walked up, he had, hey, you guys are trying to do all 4 parks. He had the rundown. It wasn't like he had no idea of what we wanted to do. So they definitely passed that along. He definitely had looked at that. And, we kind of chatted like, hey, do we think this is doable? Like, do you think this makes sense? And he was like, yeah, I think we can do this all. Maybe we have to cut like 1 or 2 of these just from a logistics standpoint of like, hey, walking, these 2 attractions are on opposite ends of the park. It might be tough to kind of do both of those because we enter and exit the park over on this side versus that side. So we had some of that in there, but then, yeah, I mean, they then basically are kind of guiding you on, hey, what attractions to go to first, again, based on where you're going to leave the park, where you're going to enter the park. The other thing I found out from asking them is like, because they have a phone and they're kind of looking, I was like, is that how you're booking attractions and things? And, he's like, no, we really don't need to do that because they just kind of swipe a card when you go in the lightning lane. But they basically use like a Slack kind of channel on there, and all the VIP tour guides are like communicating with each other. So he's like, so we know if an attraction's down or if an attraction was down, if it comes up before it is even on like the park map. Because if another tour guide's over there and they're like, hey, Rise of the Resistance just came back up, he's like, we'll know that before it's kind of, updates on the park map. So they're kind of communicating with each other too to understand where to kind of guide you next on maybe what's overly crowded or what maybe doesn't have as long a wait time.
It was really funny too, because when we got over to Hollywood Studios, he even said, we need to get over to Rise of the Resistance before it breaks down. It usually breaks down around now, and
it did.
We were in line, and
we were in line for like a minute, and then they were like, not a minute.
I was gonna say we were in line for probably like 10.
No, it wasn't that long. It was a couple minutes, and they were like, everybody has to get out of line. It wasn't just like
it was definitely.
It wasn't broken down. It wasn't broken down in that like we were standing there a while. We're like, I wonder what's happening. It was very quickly, everybody has to get out of line.
Yeah, and then the thing that was kind of a bummer about this is one thing that I think that they need to change about this is on our way out, we got a lightning lane.
Yeah, they give everybody lightning lanes
to
for
like
rides.
reimburse us for being in line and not being able to ride the ride. But the problem with that lightning lane is it is good for that day. Well, if you're doing a VIP tour, you're not probably going to make it back and use that time in your tour.
Nobody feels sorry for you.
I mean, but I'm saying like they could make it like, I know it would be probably difficult,
They
but
don't know.
they should almost
they have
like.
they have no idea of knowing if you're on a VIP tour or whatever.
Yeah, but
they basically just everybody in line, which it's a nice thing they do, because whether you're on lightning lane or you're on standby, basically everybody in that queue at that point gets a free lightning lane to come back whenever the ride reopens that
Right,
day.
but what I'm saying is like when you get back to your tour guide, it's almost like they should be able to scan something and be like, hey, here's a lightning lane for this tomorrow since we couldn't do it today. But
I don't think so. You're on a VIP tour. You're getting unlimited lightning lanes all day. You're skipping all the lines. You're getting private transportation.
I mean, but you are paying for it too.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of inherent. If, hey, a ride's down, you're not going to ride it. If something
Well, it's
happens.
not that, but the ride wasn't down to start with, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it was down when we were in it. We could have easily said, hey, we want to wait. We want to go back. I mean,
Yeah, but then
You
that
could
would
have
have been at the cost of something else.
exactly. That's what you pay. I mean, that's kind of where you at. I disagree with you on that one. I think it's, again, they have no idea you're in a queue. Everybody gets a lightning lane. I don't think they need to do kind of anything different. So let's kind of talk through the day, attractions we got to do. So like we said, we started at Animal Kingdom. We started with Dinosaur because Dinosaur is going to be leaving us this year. It's going extinct. So we wanted to ride that.
And our friend Kiefer had said he never rode it. And we're like, you need to ride this ride. It's incredible.
Right. What's interesting about Dinosaur, so we talked about you use the lightning lanes for most of the attractions.
This was the best VIP entrance.
This is started the VIP tour, and I was immediately like, this has been worth it just with this. So it's most attractions you enter through the lightning lane. There are some where they have different entrances they can take you through. Dinosaur is one of them. So we're walking to Dinosaur, and we're kind of like going a back way, it seemed like. We really ended up just going like a roundabout way through Dino Land because we weren't going to the front. We went in through the gift shop.
Yeah, that was the craziest part. So
And then there's a door in the gift shop, and they have you go in there.
Yeah, and then whenever you get into the gift shop, if you ever look on the wall in Dinosaur, there's like these white doors. They don't really stand out very much. They're kind of closer to the back, toward where you get off the ride. And he opened these white doors, and there's like a small room in there. And so he's like, okay, hang on right here.
And they
I'll
just
be back.
left us.
And he left us. And he did.
And this was the first thing. This was the first thing we do. And I immediately go, is this, like, is he just going to leave us here the whole day?
Like, I thought we were going to get Tower of Terror. Like, the floor was going to drop
the floor was
out.
gonna drop.
Or it was like Yzma, like, pull that
Because
back wrong.
it was basically the size of like a supply closet.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't very big. And he's gone for a couple minutes.
He was gone for, a couple minutes.
And I was like, one, this is awesome because I didn't know his door was here. And two, I was like,
we're just in like this very plain
he
white
left no
room.
direction.
No direction. He's just like, just stay here.
Yeah.
We're
And
like,
then he opens
okay.
the door and he's like, okay, come on. And where it takes you in at is right at the pre-show. So where you see the video of the pre-show of like what's happening, this door opens right to there. So we basically got to walk right in the pre-show, and then we were in the queue at that point. So that was a lot of fun to kind of see that like alternate entrance through the broom closet of Dinosaur.
That was, again, like the most invigorating, because I don't think we did any other one. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we did any other.
You are wrong, so I'll correct you later though.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna. I didn't remember doing any other alternate. That one stuck out, I guess, because it was just like a random room that had no theming.
Yeah.
We did do another one that didn't have. I feel like that didn't have any kind of.
We'll get
theming.
to it. We'll get to it.
Okay.
So we did Dinosaur. We went to Kilimanjaro Safaris, and then we did Flight of Passage as well. So those were the three things we did at Animal Kingdom. Also, I want to mention is we ate lunch beforehand because, again, we wanted to eat beforehand. We wanted to maximize as much time as we had on the VIP tour. Didn't want to spend too much time eating, anything like that. From there, we moved over to Hollywood Studios. So this was cool because your exit out of Animal Kingdom was over by Pandora. So that's kind of why we did Flight of Passage last, because he was kind of trying to planning of walking the least. And then we went over to Hollywood Studios, and you came in right by where Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy is, like right behind that wall is where you walked in at, over by that and Rock and Roller Coaster.
I'm really glad you know where we entered and exited, because I have no idea.
Oh, I was
where
paying
we
attention.
were.
I was paying attention to it all. Like that was what I enjoyed the most. Like beforehand, our friends were asking like, what rides do you want to do? Like, what is important to you? And I was like, I don't care. I'm just on this to have fun, to see like how this works, what you do, that sort of thing. Whatever you guys pick, whatever we end up doing or not doing, I'm sure I'll be happy with. I just want to like, I'm there for the show. So I was like, yeah, where are we? Where are we coming out at? So I could kind of remember that.
So over in Hollywood Studios, we started with Rise because, like I mentioned before, he said, let's get over to Rise before it breaks. And then it promptly broke. So that one also, was that one that had a weird entrance? There was one that we said they should have turned into.
Well, so we rode Rise of the Resistance, you and I, the next day, and we did the single rider line.
Oh,
we said, hey,
that was it.
let's
Okay.
check out what the single rider line's all about, see how long it takes. It took a long time. It took still like an hour to get through that.
Yeah,
and
I'm not sure we were actually much better
and
off.
you skip all of the pre-shows, and yeah, they walk you through this again. It's just like a broom closet
that part
hallway.
was cool though too. I
Yeah.
actually felt like we were behind the scenes. We were back on our VIP tour then, because we exited, like where we came onto the ride was
The
when
hangar. It's
when
the
you're in
hangar.
the hangar.
You had the perfect idea for theming this hallway though.
Oh, I did, because okay, in Star Wars, we kind of made fun of when we were watching Clone Wars, because 99 of the episodes they were sneaking around in the air ducts, and I'm like, you would think the Empire
It's a
would,
classic Star Wars thing.
yeah, you'd
Yep.
think that the Empire would be like, hey, our air ducts are a real big area of weakness, we need to put some sort of security on those, but they never did. So like Ahsoka's crawling around in all the air ducts and everybody's crawling in the air ducts. So when we were going in there and we were in just this plain, I think it might even have been gray hall, I was like, dude, they don't even have to do much to this, they just need to make it like silvery and make it look like an air duct, like we're entering, through like a secret entrance.
And have like a grate at the door
Yeah,
or something. Yeah,
absolutely.
that would have been perfect.
But the best part about the whole thing though was we came into the hangar by the stormtroopers, but not where like there's all of the like
it's
the
over by
stormtroopers.
the TIE fighter on the wall.
Yeah, there's a couple stormtroopers just by themselves on, so whenever you come in it would be on the left side
Right.
instead of straight ahead. So you come, like we were coming onto the ride over on that left side behind, like there's like 2 or 3 stormtroopers. So that part was so cool.
Well, it was cool too because a first order officer still comes and takes a group of you and says like, okay, I can take 5 people. And they walk you across at the same time. Another first order officer is yelling at people to get off the transport. And so it almost adds a sense of realism of like, hey, there's different prisoners coming from different areas merging in. Like we all just didn't come on this ship. Like those people were already here and they're getting, kind of walked over to interrogation. So yeah, it was pretty cool. But it would be cool if like, hey, you popped out of an air duct and like, I saw you. You're captured. Come on in. So.
Okay, so back to the VIP tour now. We tried to ride Rise, it broke. Then we went on Smuggler's Run.
Yeah, so we pivoted and we said, hey, we're here.
Yeah, we might as well do
Smuggler's
go on
Run.
Smuggler's
Yeah.
Run. That was pretty fun. We tried to do Chewy mode, but
It didn't work out.
It didn't quite work
Yeah,
out because somebody accidentally hit a wrong button. And then we went on Slinky Dog Dash, and that was the one that did me in.
Yeah, you can't do roller coasters anymore.
I can't do Slinky because I think the up and down like rolling motion
I also think
kills me.
Going back to your vertically challengedness, I think part of it is the ride vehicle. Slinky Dog is huge on that. Like his head, I imagine it's hard to see where you're going. Like in a lot of roller coasters, you can at least see where you're going. Like they say that if you can see where you're going, you're better. But that is hard to kind of see what's happening ahead because Slinky Dog is so big.
I think it's more that I think maybe
You have like the bunny hops too.
Yeah, I think that the bunny hops is like, for me, it's like moving in an unpredictable way. Because the first time I ever rode Flight of Passage, I got sick because I didn't know where it was going. And then after that, I've been fine. I've never gotten ill on Flight of Passage since. And I feel like it's a similar thing when we ride the New Guardians ride. I don't know where Cosmic rewind is going.
Right.
And so I don't know where to look. And I think that's when you run into issues. And I think Slinky does something similar.
And again,
to
my
me.
point is like it's hard to kind of see where you're going too, just because the ride vehicle is so big. So we did ride that. We also went to ride Tower of Terror. This one was interesting too, because in this one, our VIP tour guide walked through the line with us. So we went through the lightning lane, but he walked with us through the first room, because if you're familiar with Tower of Terror, there's the pre-show, but then there's still queuing inside, which can take some time. But in this case, you do kind of get a benefit. You do basically get to go straight of the line, because once you get through that pre-show, he basically opened a gate and there's some stairs there. He's like, okay, like just come right here. And we walked right up to get on. The cast member even asked us like, what row do you want to sit in? Like, they were like, you can, whatever row you want to sit in, go wherever you want. We told them, they're like, okay, go line up over there. So basically that one you get to walk right on. Because if you didn't, you could be waiting another like 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so to kind of get through the queue. So that was a benefit there. But that was it for Hollywood Studios. After that, we moved over to Epcot. And then at Epcot, you come in by Cosmic Rewind. So we rode Cosmic Rewind first. And I think Slinky Dog followed shortly by Tower of Terror, followed shortly by Cosmic Rewind.
I think we were all feeling it.
And I also think part of the problem was too, is we ate lunch at like 11:30 or 12. And at this point it was 4 in the afternoon. And all we had maybe had was some like pretzels as a snack, because we're trying to maximize time. And I don't think that's good for motion sickness if you're kind of on an empty stomach. So yeah, after Cosmic Rewind, the group was not doing too great.
I would just love to have the privilege of riding Cosmic Rewind when I can enjoy it, because I end up every time I ride that ride.
Well, we've ridden it twice. I feel like the first time I was fine. This time, not so much. So I don't know. I'm 50-50.
Yeah, I feel like every time I ride that ride that I end up like clinging on to whatever's in front of me. I forget, there might be a bar there, and I hold on for dear life, because I don't ever feel like it's inevitable that I'm going to lose my lunch, but at the same time I don't feel good. And so I cannot enjoy it, because I'm just like, I really don't want to vomit on a Disney ride. Like, I really want to have a good rest of my day. And so the whole time I can't really tell you what the storyline is of Cosmic Rewind.
I don't remember the song.
I can't enjoy
what song
it.
did we have this time? I know we had I Ran the first time by Flock of Seagulls. I don't remember. Was this one? It was a different one. I don't remember what it was though.
Was it One Way or Another? I'll find you. I'm gonna get you.
Maybe.
Was it that one?
It might have been that one. I don't even know if that's an option.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I remembered it after we did it, but I can't tell you. I'd need to see the list of songs.
What's funny is we came off of it. We're all like, oh, not doing too great, and our tour guy was like, oh, I love that ride. He's like, doesn't bother me at all. He's like, I can ride it multiple times in a row. He was like, yeah, no problem. So after that, we rode Frozen Ever After. Kind of slowed it down a little bit.
Yeah, that was definitely a much better choice after Cosmic Rewind.
Yeah, and I think part of it was just like not having eaten a while. Like I got a Coca-Cola after that, and I kind of felt better because I had some sugar, like had something in me, kind of just like settled me down a little bit. But
yeah, Didn't I take a Dramamine? I took a Dramamine, I'm pretty sure. But
I think after.
Well, no, I took a Dramamine before because I wasn't feeling well from Slinky Dog.
Right,
so then I was like, you know what? I know we're going to go on Cosmic Rewind. Let me take a Dramamine. That didn't really help.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know that you can, when you're already feeling not great, take a Dramamine and hope that it makes you feel better. But yeah, hey, maybe I would have been in real rough shape after if the Dramamine, if it wasn't for the Dramamine.
Frozen was fun. I like Frozen. It was good. It was a nice little reprieve. We were talking about doing Remy, but that was one of the ones that he suggested we cut
because it was so far away.
It's so far away, and again, you enter and exit through Cosmic Rewind, so we'd have to walk all the way over to Remy's to come back to Cosmic Rewind. And at this point, we were a little tight on time because we wanted to get over to Magic Kingdom, and again, we wanted to make sure we got to the fireworks viewing on time. So we left Epcot. We went to Magic Kingdom. We were able to ride Haunted Mansion. So this was another one where we did skip the queue and we skipped the lightning. So this was the other one that kind of had the unique entrance because he asked us, he was like, do you guys want to do the stretching room or do you want to skip it? And we're like,
Skip
We're
it.
like, I want to skip it because what does that mean? Like, that's, again, I'm here to do like fun stuff you can't normally do. So he took us in through the exit and then through like a side door little hallway that then basically puts you right into after the stretching room where you get on the dune buggies. And this was another one where he walked us straight up. So we didn't even have to like get into the line of people that come out of the stretching room, walked us straight up to the conveyor belt. And they were just like walk straight on the conveyor belt and get in the dune buggies.
I'm kind of sad that I don't remember this as clearly as I do the dinosaur one, because now that you mention it, I'm like, oh yeah, we did skip it. And
your brain was still spinning from Cosmic
no,
Rewind.
it might have been that, honestly. Like I might have just not been feeling so well, so I just it didn't like hit me. And also at this point in time, I was probably starting to get fatigued and know that we had to be up at like 3:00 in the morning.
That's true. We did this
the
the
10K
day of the 5K.
Okay, it was the 5K day, yeah.
And so it was the day before the 10K. So we'd run one race in the morning. And I think that's part of it too. Yeah, we were up at 3 a.m. this day running a race, doing the VIP tour. Then we had to be up at 3 a.m. the next day. But we did get to skip the line in Haunted Mansion. We went over and rode Tron. So we got to ride Tron at night, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
And I said, hey, at that point, I was like, I need to eat something because again, it was late at this point. I think it was 6:30 or 7. So we mobile ordered Starlight Cafe. If you listened a few weeks ago when we talked about our food review, I ordered them a Michelin star for the hamburger I had, and I hold to that. Michelin stars are all about like atmosphere, food, quality. You have Sunny Eclipse on the Keys. That's amazing atmosphere music,
which we didn't even see because we left.
But I know it's there. You have. It was like the highest quality and tastiest food I've ever had. So I stand true with the Michelin star.
And again, if you were listening a couple weeks ago, you know that Joe has in his lifetime awarded 2 Michelin stars, one to a Denny's in Lake Tahoe and one to Cosmic Race. So you can tell just how great he is at judging food.
When I was editing that and you said that, I was thinking I should like start my own like Michelin star book. Like I can't call it Michelin star, obviously.
Joshelin.
But we need some sort of like, Enchanted Ears star or something.
No.
That we award
This can't
people.
be a we thing because
it'll be
because
a me
you
thing.
and I our tastes are vastly
but you can
different.
have your own stars that you award. But you're correct. I've awarded 2 stars to restaurants in my life.
Yeah, and both of them
and
were
I stand by those stars.
Subpar.
I stand by those stars. I mean, that Denny's, I sent my compliments to the chef. Literally did that. It was
for
so
a grilled
good.
cheese sandwich.
It was so good. So we mobile ordered the food, picked it up, and then headed over to see the fireworks, like we said, and ended up eating while we were waiting for Happily Ever After.
Yeah, and we actually did have an additional ride there. We wanted to do Tiana's Bayou Adventure. We hadn't ridden it, and
we had time. It was maybe a little tight.
It was tight, but we maybe could have run on over there. But because it was cold and because we were worried that we were going to get wet, we opted to not do that. If I had been thinking, we did bring ponchos, I could have packed the ponchos and we could have run on over, but none of us in our group wanted to ride and potentially get any amount of wet.
Yeah, and again, it was kind of tight on time. Like we probably could have made it work, but it would have been close. Yeah. And so we said, hey, let's skip it. So all in all, we ended up riding 10 attractions plus seeing Happily Ever After. So what I think is interesting, kind of getting into tips, lessons learned here. I kind of told you this. I was along for the ride to see what happens, but we kind of talked after, and I was like, I would do some things differently. And what I find interesting is I feel like this happens a lot at Disney where you do something at Disney and the first time is kind of just a learning experience. Yeah. And you're like, I want to do this again. The frustrating thing is it's usually very expensive, high-ticketed items. Like the Star Cruiser was like that.
Yeah.
Like the first time we did it, I was like, that was a ton of fun, but I would have maybe liked to have done this or seen that. So we got to experience it again because it was closing, so we made an effort to go there again. And so I was able to do some of that stuff differently. And the VIP tour is the same thing. I'm like, okay, I learned a lot from this now. So here's some things I would do differently. The problem is, it's like, why does it have to be these $5,000-$6,000 things that you then think, oh, I want to do that again because I want to try X, Y, and Z. Like, why can't it be something that's like $100? You know?
Yeah. Kind of going into those tips. So one of the things that we definitely would do if we did one again and we were more concerned about like riding more rides would be to limit the number of long rides that we rode. So for example, one of the rides to me that I really wanted to ride was the safari over in Animal Kingdom. And really that takes, that's a probably 15-20 minute long ride that
it's
eats a
easily
lot.
half an hour.
Yeah,
half an
it
hour.
eats a lot of your time. So that ride, like, isn't really necessarily the best one to choose. And I don't feel like, we definitely shaved time off by, getting in the lightning lane for that and everything. But again, like, I don't know that the value on that ride was there. The other thing is, if you can, I would also suggest skipping a park. Like, if I were to do this one again, I would skip Epcot. There's no reason for me to go to Epcot. Frozen Ever After.
Especially after we've learned on Cosmic Rewind, that's maybe not our ride.
Yeah, I think we can avoid that one for the foreseeable future.
I'll ride it again, but that's, not one I feel like I'm doing every time. It's kind of like Expedition Everest. Like, we've kind of avoided that one to a certain extent too, because it's kind of rough. People say the Matterhorn's rough.
Yeah, I think Everest is
take
rougher.
the Matterhorn any day over Everest.
Right. Yeah, because the Matterhorn at least always moves forward.
Yeah, I think Everest is just so intense.
The last time I rode Everest, I blacked out when we started going backward.
It's so intense. And I feel like, Cosmic Rewind's like that. I'm like, I'd like to do it again, but like, I kind of am going to have in the back of my mind, like, hey, if I get a little motion sick from this, and I don't really feel like doing anything afterwards at the end.
It'll be fine.
Is that okay? Yeah.
We could do that on a day that we have like dinner or something over in Disney Springs. So we're like, all right, we're just going to go and we're not going to ride anything else.
Yeah, you do that at the end of the day. So you're like, hey, if that's
it, then
it
we're
doesn't
going to
agree
just go
with me
sleep.
today.
We'll
don't worry about it.
So yeah, I would limit if you can. Like, if there's a park that you're like, yeah, you know what, I'll just go hit that park some other day. I think that would really help. Particularly like just to help you spend more time probably in Magic Kingdom, because there's the most like highest density of rides over there, and I think that's probably where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. So I think that those are two like pretty solid tips.
Yeah, definitely like we did, try to eat beforehand so you don't spend time eating. Our tour guide, because I asked him, I was like, what's the most anybody's ever done in one of these things? I was trying to ask.
I was hoping you would bring this up, yeah.
And he said he had a group of people. They did a 10-hour tour, but I think he said they did 26 attractions. And he said he's like, they packed food, they like coordinated their bathroom breaks, so like they did not waste any time at all. They didn't have to stop to eat, and they were able to. He's like, they were like power walkers. And they were able to get through 26 attractions.
Didn't he say they did like 18 miles or something? I feel like he said
it was some crazy
It was
number.
A lot. Like,
he was like, I was having trouble catching up with them. Like, walking.
What did we end up at that day?
I think we
feel
did
like
9 miles that day.
Yeah,
in total. Yeah.
So I feel like by the end of that day we were around 18, 19 miles between the race and walking to the race and stuff like that.
But that's the way. Like, you have to imagine. I would think that group is maybe, hey, this is a once in a lifetime thing. Because you figure, again, if you get 10 people together and you do that on a day that is at the lower end of the price range, like let's say it's $600 an hour and you do 10 hours, that's $6,000. Over 10 people, that's $600. That's not too crazy. Especially if you look at like the new Premier Pass at Magic Kingdom is like $450 a person. So like, it's not.
So by adding an extra park, then you're getting that value, because whenever you get the Premier Pass doesn't span across multiple parks. It's just for one.
That is the advantage over the Premier Pass, because part of me was thinking too while we're doing this of like, hey, what is the value of this over the Premier Pass? Because again, you look at our tour, we did 10 attractions, which is good for a day. We went to all 4 parks, but you would think if you told somebody, hey, I did a VIP tour, that you would have done more than 10, And so, if you look at like, okay, a Premier Pass at Magic Kingdom, I think includes close to 20 attractions that you could do. And again, that's like $450. So it does seem like, hey, what is the advantage? Like, why wouldn't you just do a Premier Pass? But that is going to be your advantage is if you want to do multiple parks. Like, I think if you just wanted to do Magic Kingdom, the Premier Pass makes sense. And it makes more sense now of Disney launching the Premier Pass when you find out they sell out these VIP tours every day and they're basically at capacity for that. So this is a nice option of like, hey, maybe you don't want to spend the VIP tour money. Maybe it's full, but you want to do all the rides in Magic Kingdom for basically the same price. If you had a group of 10, you can do all the attractions in the Magic Kingdom. The advantage is you get multiple parks. But going back to that group, yeah, you split it across 10 people, it kind of becomes somewhat reasonable if you can get 26 attractions in across multiple parks. For me, I think what I learned, I think what I would do differently next time is because we go to the parks so frequently, it almost riding the attractions is kind of secondary. You know, like if we ride something
it's not
one trip, yeah, it's not as important that we have to ride it.
It's not necessarily a priority just because we know that we'll get on it the next time.
Right.
Unless it's something that's closing, of course, like
exactly.
Dinosaur.
Exactly.
But yeah.
So for me, I would focus on and almost be telling the VIP tour guide, like, hey, I want to go to these parks, but like, what would you pick? Like, you do this every day. You've done hundreds, if not thousands of VIP tours. You know what works. You know what mistakes people make. You know, what they should do instead. Like, how would you plan the day? What are the attractions that I can take interesting entrances to, like Haunted Mansion, like Dinosaur? Like, to me, that's almost what I would want to see is like, take me to cool places in the parks and interesting things that we can do along the way. And then whatever attractions you kind of pick, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with whatever we ride or don't ride, but I'm here more for like, what's the unique experience I can have here that I'm not going to be able to have as just a regular park guest?
Yeah, I think that's a good point because, again, the highlights, I think, of doing it were all the behind the scenes stuff, all the things that we don't typically get to do. That was the part that I like sticks out in my mind, not like riding a specific ride like the Haunted Mansion, but it was entering through weird spots. So like even, you know, like kind of we talked about earlier when we did the next day, we entered Rise on the side. I thought it was part of our VIP tour, like because it was such a weird entry like point. So I think that I agree with you on that one where it's just like, where can you go that you don't normally have access to? It's sort of like the same allure of the Run Disney as well, because a lot of times you get to run behind the scenes on the roads that the cast members get to drive on, and you enter the parks through interesting places. And like we got to see them building, I think, a couple of the rides when they were building them. I can't remember which one it was, but
we saw the Skyliner. I mean, when they were building the Skyliner, you kind of ran back behind there.
Right, yeah. And I think that it might have even been Guardians. I don't exactly remember which ride, but there was a ride that they were or even like Galaxy's Edge. Like we did one of the races and it was for a ride that they were building, and I can't remember which one it was, but we were getting to see sort of the ride from an interesting angle before it ever opened. So I just think that part is always really, really fun.
And then the other thing is I would recommend ending your day at Magic Kingdom for the fireworks, because I think having that kind of reserved area
so nice.
Is a highlight. It's awesome. So I think the big question is, would you do this again?
So this is very difficult for me because even whenever you asked me if I wanted to do this, I knew what the price tag was, and I'm good at spending money when we're in the parks on merch, but sometimes like even like any big ticket item, I struggle when I know the price to say, yes, let's do it. Just because I spending, you know, $900 in one spot is a whole lot of money. So for me, the answer is very nuanced. But I have to say it might be yes, just to I'm curious to see how the experience changes if you get different cast members. I'm curious to see how the experience is different. How many, like, I would be interested in being the competitive person that I am, being like, how many rides can I get in? Like, I'd love to do what you said, but I also would kind of be like, what's the record for the most rides that have ever been run or like ridden? And then I want to break that record. Like, is there a Guinness book of VIP tours? Because that, I think, is what, I don't know. I think that sounds fun. Like, that's its own run Disney event. Like, I would ask for the cast member who also runs races so we could just run.
You could run through it. You'd have to do that with a small group because, yeah, if you have a large group, it's hard to kind of. You have to get all runners. Okay.
They're all run Disney people.
Yeah, it is an interesting question because having done one, again, it's like we got through 10 attractions. From a kind of cost perspective, it doesn't really feel worth it when you have the Premier Pass. Like, to me, I think, the Premier Pass makes a lot of sense, in certain instances, but I think at the same time, it kind of devalues the VIP tour.
Or VIP tour needs to step it up.
Yeah, because if I can spend $400 to ride everything in Magic Kingdom.
And that's where your value is anyway. Like, even if you were taking a VIP tour, that's where I would concentrate most of my efforts.
That's where your most attractions are. Yeah. So it's like
they're in Hollywood Studios. Like, I would probably skip Epcot. And I might even skip Animal Kingdom just because those two parks are the ones that have the highest density of really popular fun rides.
Right. So basically you can get all the attractions in Magic Kingdom for the same price as if you did the cheapest day VIP tour in a group of 10 is kind of like how it works out. So I think if you look at it that way, you can get a pretty full day in with the Premier Pass at Magic Kingdom. Now, again, if you want to do multiple parks, the VIP tour, that's where you're kind of getting some of the value. If you want to get the special VIP tour merch, like, you got to be on the tour, that sort of thing.
But eBay exists too.
Yeah, it does. So from that perspective, like, it's kind of hard for me to say and come up with a rationale that, like, financially it's worth it and there's a value to it.
I do think that there is maybe one scenario that it is worth it. And the scenario is you were coming to Walt Disney World. You were planning on coming to Walt Disney World with like a pretty big group of people, but you don't have a lot of time. And so you want to make the most of your 2-day trip or whatever. So it's a short trip. You know that maybe you don't come down very often. And so you're like, I want to get in the most and pack in the most bang for my buck.
So I still think the Premier Pass makes sense.
But
there.
But you do this in lieu of purchasing extra days, spending extra time at the hotels, spending extra money on all the food. I think
the problem is, again, it's $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. Even if you spend an extra 2 days, I mean, what are you saying at the Grand Floridian here? Like, the hotels aren't that expensive. And again, like, I think you could take the amount of money you're spending, buy Premier Passes for all of the parks, and it's cheaper. Like, I think it's hard to say, yes, it's worth paying the money for. Now, the answer to the question, though, is would I do it again? Yes, I would do it again. I think if the right opportunity presented itself, again, where you maybe have a group of people, the price, makes a little bit more sense. And again, just for the opportunity of saying, hey, I want to do more behind the scenes stuff. I want to see some interesting entrances to the rides. Like, you give me some Disney history, like, kind of, again, experiences that I'm not going to get if I buy the Premier Pass just to skip all of the lines, or, if I'm taking, if I'm just coming to the parks. Like, that's where I think the value would come in. But again, I think it's a hard sell to try to be like, yeah, I think this makes sense for a lot of people to do, because I don't know that it really does.
Yeah, and I think you and I talked about this when we were down there, that in the future, one of our trips that we do this year, we do want to buy the Premier Pass to kind of compare and contrast the two to see really, is that value really similar? And I do think that the answer is going to be yes, because again, kind of as I said before, the VIP tour was really cool. It's cool to say that I've done it. It's cool that we got the merch from it. It's cool that we got that experience with our friends. But when it comes down to it, they have changed, I think, some of the things about the VIP tour. You almost feel like you could be like, oh, can you take me just to see Club 33 or something like that? I feel like that would be maybe where you'd be like, this is cool.
That would be cool to see Club 33, but that's not like it's something they ever did on the tour, though.
What I mean is you being able to make special requests that are kind of over and above, above and beyond.
Remember there was that super VIP tour that allegedly you were going to be able to
I think we did an episode on that.
Yeah, you're going to be able to ask for whatever
Go
you
ride
wanted.
the giraffes.
Yeah, I don't think that was it, but you're going to be able to ask for certain things. We asked our VIP tour guide, we're like, what's the craziest request you've ever gotten? He's like, oh, I get people that want to go see the Cinderella Castle suite.
Yeah.
And then I immediately asked, because he didn't say I can't take you. He said, I've had people ask me that. And there was a little bit of a pause and I go, was that something we can do though? And he was like, no. He's like, I did have a group though that asked if they could do it. And he was like, he kind of told them oh yeah, we'll have to see, maybe we can. They're like, really, really, really? He's like, no, we can't go do it. So, but I was like, yeah, I got to ask, because you never know.
Yeah, I liked how he always would put in there though, oh yeah, I've seen the Cinderella suite. Oh yeah, I've ridden Space Mountain with the lights on.
It was really interesting because, and that is, I think, where some people get the benefit, and you do hear about VIP tours that a lot of people like, is you get to really learn the cast member because you're with them for all day, and you get to ask them questions and kind of learn about their experience. Our guide was part of the college program. So he started as part of the college program, ended up liking it, ended up staying, kind of worked in a variety of jobs. He talked about, hey, once you're in the company, it's very easy to move internally, and he kind of just kept moving of hey,
from one job that paid to the one that
does this one pay
more?
Yeah, and he kind of kept moving, and then he eventually became a tour guide. And apparently it's very hard to become tour guides. That's the coveted position, and people have been doing that for 20 or 30 years, and only when they retire does somebody new get to come in. It's a very hard thing to get into. But because he was in the college program, they give those people a lot of experiences to walk through attractions after hours and stuff. So he's gotten to do a lot of cool stuff. So he did mention that. So that was interesting, to hear as well. But I think to your point of hey, changing the VIP tour, I almost think it's the opposite. I think it's everything else they're doing in the parks of pay access and all of the other things that they've added have kind of devalued the VIP tour. Because before, when there was just, you got 3 fast passes, and that's all anybody could get. And so basically you could ride 3 rides for free. If you got the VIP tour, you could skip a lot of lines, and it made sense. But like you mentioned, we want to try doing the Premier Pass, because at Magic Kingdom, it's 20 rides. And now what I want to try is...
That's double the amount of rides we got to do.
But what I want to try is, yes, in theory you can ride 20 rides.
But can you
actually do 20 rides? So how does that work out? Because I think, if you can get 20 attractions, again, it becomes hard. But whenever that option wasn't there, and the only way you're going to be able to get more than 4 or 5 attractions and go to multiple parks is a VIP tour, I think that's where the balance is shifting, is as they've had these other options, it kind of changes the calculus on it a little bit.
Right, yeah.
But all that being said, I had a ton of fun. I'm glad we did it. It was a lot of fun doing it. I'm glad we got to go on one and experience it. But again, it goes back to my point of you do these things, and then immediately you're like, okay, when I do it again, this is what I'm going to do differently. This is kind of the lessons learned, so that you can get the Guinness World Records of it, or, you can go more behind the scenes and kind of see what, the different options are.
Yeah. And I think that, I don't know, for me too, the interesting part was I was trying to figure out our tour guide a lot too, because he was moving really quickly. I think he was trying to get us from ride to ride.
Well, he knew we wanted to go to all 4 parks. Like,
yeah,
we told him, like, hey, this is an important thing we want to do.
Yeah.
Like, our friends had never gone to all 4 parks in a day. So, like, we really want to do that. And so, like, I think, he was trying to move us along.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because I felt like that was, and again, whether it was his personality or it was just because he was in a hurry, I felt like that was a little bit at the cost of feeling like I was getting to know him. Like, I feel like in a VIP tour, they would be a little more bubbly. And he was like very like focused on just getting us from point A to point B. He probably would have, he probably would have never talked to us very much if we didn't make an effort to go up and ask him questions.
We were very mad too because it was cold and he wore a coat. You couldn't see he was a plaid. We kept whispering like, how can we get him to take his jacket off? Like, yeah, we're walking around. Nobody even knows we're walking around with a plaid.
He was wearing the fancy hat, though.
People can't be playing celebrity rich or fiscally irresponsible when they saw us walking by.
We were all walking around with a Disney employee. It was obvious, but you just couldn't see the plaid.
He kind of had like an Inspector Gadget vibe going on with his trench coat. Yeah.
He had this trench coat and he had the white hat, which, people don't just walk around with the like wide brim white hat.
Yeah, but he didn't have the plaid on. We were really hoping to get a peek of the plaid, but it was kind of cold out. So, but yeah, so it was a fun experience. Definitely enjoyed it. But like, again, I don't know, like I wouldn't tell people like run out and go do this, Yeah,
I agree. And the more I think about it now, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I think I might have talked myself out of maybe wanting to maybe my answer is no now. Ask me in 5 minutes. It'll probably be yes again.
Okay. All right. Well, we can do that. We'll ask you again next week. So, but that wraps up the show this week. I want to thank everybody again for listening. If you've not done so, please leave us a rating or a review. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast. It really helps, and we really appreciate it.
Thanks for lending us your ears.
Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you here next Monday.
Bye.